Planning and Zoning Commission is an advisory board to the City Council that's appointed by the City Council to deal with planning for growth in the city and planning for development policies for the city. They deal a lot with zoning issues and, very importantly, with our comprehensive plan that looks at how we plan to grow as a city.
The purpose of the commission is to evaluate all aspects of topics related to land use, both in the community of Ames and related to the fringe areas or the areas around Ames. And when I talk about land use, that's sort of looking more at the future, the general uses.
They advise on policy issues to the council as well as on large projects. They conduct public hearings to get public input and then provide their recommendations onto the City Council so the council can be more informed with a variety of opinions on large projects. Planning and Zoning Commission is made up of 7 individuals.
Any adult citizen of Ames can be a member of the Planning and Zoning Commission. The term is 3 years and they can be reappointed for a second 3-year term for a total of 6 years.
The mayor looks generally for diversity on the commission. They're looking for both young and old, business people, people that are residents, all types of individuals that are invested in the community and want to have a chance to have input on to how things are done through land use and planning.
That you have an appreciation for the significance of the decisions, so that they're going to have both a short-term and potentially long-term impact.
I'm the Planning and Housing Director for the city. The Planning and Housing Department is charged with administration of our comprehensive plan and our zoning and subdivision ordinances. So our department deals very frequently with new growth in the city, how are new subdivisions constructed, how are new buildings constructed in the city, and then also how do we project growth into the city and what are our policies for what we want to see happen in the city. So our job is often to do analysis for the City Council and for the Planning and Zoning Commission on policies, as well as review projects for consistency with adopted city standards. I act as the lead staff to the Planning and Zoning Commission. Our department prepares all of the report materials and provides that to the commission in advance of meetings so that they have a basis for analysis of projects.
The commission is supported by the city's planning and zoning staff, and I would just like to compliment the Ames Planning and Housing Department staff. They are very professional, they're well organized, and very thoughtful, and a great group to work with. I'm currently the chairperson. I preside at the meetings, so just keep the agenda moving. When I came to Ames, I was just naturally aware of the role of the Planning and Zoning Commission. In my neighborhood, then I began to be involved in neighborhood activities, got familiar with local government, and it was just sort of a natural evolution to be interested in participating in the commission.
I've always been actively involved and have had a long career in law enforcement here in Ames. And part of my background is through a program called Crime Prevention Through Environmental Design, and that led me to be interested in planning and in applying for the Planning and Zoning Commission.
The Planning and Zoning Commission meets twice a month on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. in the City Council chambers.
There is a public forum which is held at the beginning of the meeting as an opportunity for anyone to speak on a topic that's not on the agenda that night.
Anybody can attend the meetings. They're public meetings, and we encourage the public to come attend and speak. That's one of the best things about the Planning and Zoning Commission, is it is a place for the public to come and give feedback and input on things that are happening in Ames.
The Planning and Zoning Commission values public input very highly. They're very interested in having people come out to meetings. They want to hear from the public and not just have their opinions be what's represented to the council. So I want to encourage anybody that's interested in a development issue or a comprehensive plan project to please come to the Planning and Zoning Commission meetings and provide your own thoughts to the commission for them to consider.
There are a variety of things that are discussed, but they revolve around things like subdivisions in Ames, roads, long-term planning.
We review site development plans. The commission also looks at zoning, which is the more specific definition of how individual parcels of land can be used. The commission also deals with annexation requests, so those requests to add land within the city of Ames boundaries. We will also discuss things related to landscape design, related to floodplain management.
Things that are going to really impact what Ames is going to look like.
My favorite part about the Planning and Zoning Commission is that you get a variety of different opinions and perspectives. You never know exactly how people are going to look at an issue.
The process of deliberating with fellow community members about topics that do have an impact on our community. And you think about it, the word deliberation isn't one that we use very often, and it's hard to describe what that feels like until you've experienced it. But there aren't so many times in our lives where we have that experience of considering with a group of people that are not your family, and not your fellow members of an organization. You've come together specifically for this purpose.
I think if you're interested in how the future of Ames grows and how it looks at development in the community, that's what would motivate you to want to be on the commission. It's your chance to become more informed and to provide a perspective and advice to the City Council on some very significant choices that they make.
It's a great way to have input into the future of the city of Ames and how decisions are made and what's going to happen for Ames in the long term.
The opportunity to work with people that I wouldn't have normally or necessarily met in other ways. It's been a real experience of broadening horizons in a multitude of ways. I think sometimes today's world, things can seem so overwhelming or that we just can't have that much influence. But I would say local government is at a scope where you truly can have an impact. And I think it's a really valuable experience.